Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope your day is going great. Mine's been really awesome, and today we're going to be talking more about the World Cup. We're going to be taking a look at the World Cup teams and mainly the ones who are contenders for the championship. I'm going to give my official power rankings list and who I think will win the whole thing, because now it's much closer than I originally thought. Before we dive right into the power rankings though, I do want to talk about the match yesterday a little bit more because it was so amazing, and I honestly don't know if any other match can live up to the hype. And then about my video yesterday, guys, I know I completely butchered the name of the map. I was saying Ritaldo or Ritallo, but it's actually pronounced Rialto, and that's my bad, boys. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't play the game. I haven't played since April. I've been completely on Overwatch League and Overwatch Contenders mode, and Rialto literally hasn't been in the map pool for any of those. This is the first time I saw it, and honestly, right after the match, I went straight to making the video, and when I was making the video, I honestly couldn't think about anything besides how insane the match was, so I just went straight to recording and called it Ritaldo, which is what I actually thought it was called. In my head, that's what I remember the casters calling it, but, you know, it is what it is. I butchered the name of a map. It's no big deal. We got it down now, boys. All that matters is we double uploading every fucking day, boys. Yeah! I don't know if you guys could tell from yesterday's video, but I'm just so goddamn hyped about the Overwatch World Cup now, because that match was the best thing I ever seen in my life. I'm telling you guys. It truly was an amazing match, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about it a little bit more here. Now, honestly, I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I didn't think the World Cup would live up to these expectations. I was excited, just like everybody else. I want to see some more competitive Overwatch, but that game yesterday was just mind-blowing. It was so damn good. And I honestly do not think there is going to be another match that is as good as that one, because that literally is the pinnacle of Overwatch eSports. It doesn't get better than that. The storyline was amazing, and that's really what I love about the Overwatch League and eSports. I like to follow the storylines. Like for London Spitfire in the first season, you know, they were really good. They were the best team at the very beginning, and then boom, out of nowhere something happened, and they were really slacking off in stage 3 and 4. And then boom, something else happened in the playoffs. They caught fire and they won the championship. It's an amazing storyline, something that is really enjoyable to follow. And then when we're watching this game between South Korea and Finland, it is so exciting. Not only are both teams performing pretty well, but both teams individually are making plays. And not just good plays, they're also making game-losing plays, which makes the game super close and you never know what's going to happen. Making it so back and forth, incredibly even. And then on top of that, the game crashes when Finland comes out with a crazy strategy and we have to redo the whole thing, and then we're thinking oh my god, Finland just was spawn camping South Korea. What are they going to do now? Are they going to come out and try and do it again? No freaking way. And if they do, what is South Korea's response going to be? Are they going to have a counter ready this time? My mind is just ready to explode. Yeah, it's unfortunate for the players that it crashed, but it does make it more exciting as a spectator. It really does. And it's hard to imagine another Overwatch World Cup match having that type of storyline or just even being able to compete with it. Of course, though, Canada versus USA in the next group stage is going to be absolutely insane. Those two teams, in my opinion, are super evenly matched, similar to how Finland and South Korea look today. So there is a great chance that we could get some more intensely close matches, and the storyline is going to be there. Canada versus USA. There's bad blood there. They don't like each other. They've been talking crap on Twitter, social media, streams. And we also got to remember some of the players who are on these teams. We have Sinatra from Team USA. He's very outspoken. He could get in there. He could talk some trash. He's already done it. As well as that, guys, XQC is coming back to competitive play. You know, when he was in the Overwatch League, he was wreaking havoc, always speaking his mind and going over the top saying crazy shit. So I think we're going to expect XQC to do something for us to make the matches more exciting, or just give us some type of juice, boys, because XQC delivers the juice. So maybe there is a chance that we could get some more matches that are as exciting, but even if they're not as hype as the Finland and South Korea match, that's fine, because I don't expect them to be. How could I expect them to be that good? Nothing is that good. It's, oh man. But I guess this is a good time now to transition into the power rankings. I want to talk a little bit more about those four main teams. You guys already know them: Finland, South Korea, USA, and Canada. Those are the top four. I expect to see them in the semifinals. There are a couple of other teams who could make a run, like France. We'll cover them a little bit too, but we're mainly going to focus on the big four. And since we're already on it, and we've already seen some of the South Korean World Cup matches, let's start off with this group and completely finalize it. So obviously South Korea and Finland are the top two. They went head-to-head last night. No one in this group is that competitive. There's Russia, yeah, maybe a dark horse, but Finland's going to beat them. South Korea is going to beat them. We have Japan, Chinese Taipei, and Hong Kong. not even as good as Russia. I don't see any of these teams even being contenders to get out of this group. South Korea and Finland have this locked in. They're going to move on over to the quarterfinals. That's pretty much what's going to happen when we create two superstar teams of Overwatch League players. They're going to dominate all these contenders and lower level players. And let's go to move on now and talk about the United States group, because this one's going to be competing next. Their matches start September 7th. And it's actually very similar to this group. We have Team Canada, Team USA. Two rosters stacked with insane Overwatch League talent. And then there's teams like Austria, some contenders players. Brazil is pretty much an entire contenders team that's been practicing together for a while. But we all know, they could be decent, but they're nowhere near the level of Overwatch League players, let alone North American contenders players. Moving on from Brazil, we have Switzerland, Norway, both the same situation, some contenders players here and there, but just not really that much talent. They're not going to be able to go up against the likes of Sureforce, Sinatra, Muma, XQC. No, these players are all so damn good. Space. They won't be able to compete. Canada and USA are going to wipe the floor with this group. And oh my god, I'm super excited for the USA and Canada match, guys. This one is going to be insane. Hopefully it can live up to the hype. I hope it does, because there's a lot of bad blood between these teams, and it's going to give us a good look into the top 8, similar to the South Korea versus Finland match. My prediction for this is, I don't even know. Honestly, Space is so good. I feel like he can potentially carry USA. I don't know. My problem here is I don't know how good XQC is. We haven't seen any of these Team Canada World Cup scrims. When XQC was playing with the GOATs in Contenders Trials, he wasn't playing very good. He looked extremely rusty. Obviously, his team wasn't playing that great either. I don't know if that had a factor into his play, but he was not good. So I'm a little scared that XQC might not be ready. There has been a lot of practice time, though, so that's why there's just this question around XQC for me. On the other hand, USA has Muma, and Muma's very good. He just got done playing an entire season of the Overwatch League, was probably the best North American main tank. He literally hasn't had any downtime. He went straight from the Overwatch League to practicing for the World Cup. As for XQC, he had that big break after he got kicked from the Dallas Fuel. He didn't play competitively for 4 or 5 months. Then he went straight into the GOATs, and it was a mess, right? Sure, we can't really put it all on him, but you definitely have to question whether or not he's going to be able to compete with somebody like Muma. We went over this before. Canada wins DPS-wise, USA wins tank-wise, and support-wise. At least on paper, that's what makes sense, right? And that sounds like you would give USA the advantage then. But we are living in a DPS's world right now, and it's a Hanzo Widowmaker meta. And who is going to be good at Widowmaker and Hanzo? Surefour and Agilities, 100%. Is Hydration, Sinatra, and Zachary really going to be able to compete against Surefour and Agilities? I don't think so, man. Yeah, if we were playing Tracer and Genji, but we're not, dude. We're playing Hanzo, Brigida, Widowmaker. I don't know how good Sinatra's Brigida is. We haven't seen him play much Widowmaker. We haven't seen him play much Hanzo. Yeah, Hydration is a good flex. But honestly, when the stage 4 hit and the meta kind of swapped up, Hydration wasn't as good as he looked before. His Pharah looked great, his Doomfist looked great, his Genji looked great, his Hanzo was okay, not the best. And then we're also looking at just a weird meta with Hammond. Is XQC ready to play Hammond? Is Muma ready to play Hammond? There's so many question marks now with this new meta as well. All I know is I'm super excited to see these matches, and if I had to predict a winner between Canada and USA at this very second, I think I would have to go with Canada, basically for the reasons I've been talking about earlier. I don't think USA's DPS are going to be able to compete with Canada's DPS on this meta. But I wouldn't be surprised if Team USA came out and Space and Muma carried the hell out of this game. It's going to be fun. Both of them are obviously moving on to the quarterfinals to meet Team Finland and Team Korea. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the quarterfinals soon. Let me just briefly go by the next two groups because they're not as competitive as the first two. All right, moving on to the Thailand group stage. We have China, Thailand, Australia, Spain, Sweden, and Denmark. Out of all these teams, I don't think any of them can compete with those top 4 I just said. But just because they can't compete with the top 4 doesn't mean these aren't going to be exciting matches. I think all of these teams are pretty well rounded. China has some good players. A lot of them are even better than Shanghai Dragons. Thailand has some really good players. Mickey's on there. It is a Brigida meta. Australia, they're a full team of Oceanic players who have been together for a very long time. Spain is decent. Sweden looks pretty good. Denmark even looks pretty good. I don't think Spain has a chance, so we'll knock them out. Denmark, their roster's decent. It isn't really all that stacked, though. Not many Overwatch League players, so I don't think they'll make it very far. And that leaves 4, China, Thailand, Australia, and Sweden. I think most people would say Sweden and Australia are going to make it out of this group, but Thailand and China, I think they're dark horses and they have a good chance to upset both of these teams. Clearly, Sweden is one of the best though. They're stacked with complete Overwatch League and contenders players. They're definitely a shoo-in. That leaves the last spot in for Australia, China, and Thailand. One reason I kind of want to go with Australia is because they have Custa this year, and he's a very smart, level-headed player. I think he could lead them into the top 8. But China and Thailand are still scary too. A lot of the Thailand players are on Mega Thunder, who compete in the Pacific Division, and they did pretty good in the last season of contenders. So it's hard to count any of these teams out, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to have to go with China. I have a feeling they have something to prove, and with Leave on their roster, I think they can actually go pretty far. So my 2 picks for the Thailand group is going to be Sweden and China to move on to the top 8. One thing I do want to say though before we move on to the next group, it's not set in stone for Sweden. It could very well be China and Thailand, or China and Australia moving on. Yeah, they have a bunch of Overwatch League players, but they also have a bunch of Overwatch League players that really weren't that impressive in Season 1. So you never know what's going to happen. And then moving on to the France group, where we actually do have a contender. I'm looking at France. I think these guys can possibly go far, beating a team maybe like Finland, maybe like USA, maybe like Canada. You never know. The roster's pretty talented. We have Poco, Unco, AKM, Soon, Nico, Wins, Asking. Like, these are all top tier players either in the Overwatch League or in contenders. And a lot of them have experience playing together. Unco, Soon, and AKM, Wins. These guys all have good history. Poco, one of the best divas in the Overwatch League, just got out of the finals. So I think these guys are definitely worthy of the top 5. Now, besides them in this group, there are some other decent teams. We have Germany and the UK are both full of top tier contenders talent. Now, they're probably not going to beat France, but between UK and Germany, one of these guys is going to make it out of this group. We also can't forget about the Netherlands and Poland. They could be a dark horse here too. I don't think they will make it out, neither will Italy. It's going to be between UK and Germany. And if I had to pick between the UK and Germany, I'm going to have to go with the UK. I think their talent is just a little bit better. They have mykl, Smex, Fusions, Kib, really good Overwatch contenders players, Cruz. These guys pop off on LAN. So I'm going to say UK and France moves on to the top 8. And this puts our final 8 teams at South Korea, Finland, Canada, USA, Sweden, China, France, and the UK. And we could assume that the first seeds are going to play the second seeds. And this could make for some really exciting quarterfinal matches. Since I think Canada is going to beat USA, we could get a USA versus South Korea match in the quarterfinals. Or we could get a Canada versus Finland match in the quarterfinals. It all depends on how they end up drawing these teams. That, or it could be USA versus Sweden, which would probably be a pretty easy match for USA. But I have no idea what the actual bracket is because I don't know how Blizzard and the World Cup are going to seed these teams going into the next stage. So since I can't actually predict the bracket, we're going to go ahead and just do a power rankings list as I mentioned earlier. So rank 1 out of these 8 is definitely going to be South Korea. I know they struggled with Finland, but it's still South Korea and nobody can deny that they have the best individual talent out of any of these teams. For God's sakes, Carpe, Jay Jonak, no one can compete with them. But with some struggles with Libero on flex and Fate on main tank, they could run into some issues, just like they did against Team Finland, which, moving on to my second ranked team, we don't have Finland, we have Canada. And I think Team Canada is going to surprise a lot of people this year. I feel like Surefour and Agilities, this is their time to shine. They can definitely give South Korea, Finland, and USA a run for their money and possibly be the champions this year. I think it really just all rides on XQC. If he shows up and has an amazing tournament, Canada is going to be very dangerous. If XQC shows up and he's not really prepared to play, Canada might be in trouble, but they're going to be at rank 2 for me. Moving on now to rank 3, we have Team Finland. After Finland's performance against South Korea, there's no denying that these guys are a contender. They are the first team in 2 years of World Cup history to finally win a map in the group stage against South Korea. And they didn't just win 1, they won 2 and almost 3. So I wouldn't be surprised if these guys run into South Korea in the finals, or if they run into Canada and beat Canada or beat USA. And speaking of USA, moving on to rank 4 of my power rankings, we have Team USA. Now these guys could be a little bit higher, but I don't know, I'm doubting their DPS in this meta. Hydration, Zachary, and Sinatra, they have a lot ahead of them. I just don't know if they're going to be ready for these other DPS players from like South Korea, Finland, and Canada. They could definitely beat them, but we'll just have to see. Now moving on to rank 5, I'm going to have to go with France. Outside of the top 4, this is the only other team with high level Overwatch League talent, and if everybody is clicking on all cylinders, these guys can definitely go far. And then that moves us to rank 6, I have United Kingdom. I think these guys are very talented. They have some really good players outside of the Overwatch League, and I do think they're better than Team Sweden, which moving on to rank 7, we do have Sweden. These guys are going to be better than China. I don't know how much better. There is some Overwatch League talent, but as I said, they're not the best. We'll just have to see what they can do. And then lastly, we have China, who I think will be the weakest team out of these 8. Yeah, there's some good contenders players from China, but they're not going to be able to compete with these top tier Overwatch League players. So that's pretty much it, talking about all of the Overwatch World Cup teams, guys. I gave most of my predictions. I gave my power rankings. All I know is we got some exciting matches coming up for the remainder of the World Cup. We barely just started. It's going to be a long ride. And if you guys do enjoy videos like this, be sure to let me know down below. Drop a like on it. Subscribe to my channel for more daily Overwatch League, Overwatch World Cup news, updates, power rankings, whatever it is. You can find daily videos on my channel, guys. Click that red box. And now I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. Peace.